how do you guys compare the ending of part one of Naruto to the ending of part one of Boruto? Do you think it's better or worse, or which one do you think is better?
What do you think, Free?
With Boruto, you talking about what? Oh, oh yeah, when Naruto, we essentially ended off. All right, the big thing, Naruto versus Sasuke, of course, but of course the whole entire arc, people like the Sasuke retrieval arc, where they're fighting the guys from the Sound Village, and of course we had the Gaara versus Kimimaru fight. We had the drunk Rock Lee versus Kimimaru fight, and we had a bunch of the other fights with Gaara with forgot their names. Gaara's brothers and sisters, Tamari and how do I forget these names? But you know, they basically joined the fight late. It was basically a whole ordeal.
Kankuro. Yeah, Kankuro.
Conqueror, there you go. He almost got packed up in Boruto too.
That is true.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to go with Naruto as well. I feel like I think the ending of Boruto Part One. We're talking the anime, of course. I'm assuming, or are we talking about the manga too?
Well, in my
I
personal
did not
opinion,
even read the
I'd go
manga.
manga because I don't necessarily think that the anime could like. Matter of fact, the anime could kind of hold up, but I'd go to manga to probably make it fair.
I
Are
never
we
read the
sure this
Naruto
is
manga.
the
I'm
end of
like,
Part One? Or are we just assuming, just like in the
I well,
hypothesis of this question?
I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming. I'm assuming. I understand that it's not necessarily confirmed. And I think anime wise, like to a certain extent, that right there is already confirmed. But manga, like, eh, I don't know if this is the end of part one. Like, let's just preface it
Gotcha,
like
gotcha,
that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that requires a little bit more thought. I was going off the anime. Okay, I would say I'm gonna go with Naruto. I'm gonna go with Naruto. I think the Final Valley fight was absolutely amazing. And if we're going with the manga version of the Boruto series, there wasn't really a final battle. There was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of dialogue and a lot of setup, which feels like if we're going to part two, a nice little setup for the last couple of chapters. But in terms of like combat, not really. I guess the last thing we would have gotten was Kawaki versus Boruto, and then Boruto gets the scar. But that was like they didn't even go all out. No horn, no anything. So that to me is a little lackluster in terms of combat. So I'll give the edge to the Naruto series. In terms of the story, I'm also going to give the edge to the Naruto series because this was the culmination of the entire part one. Leading up to Sasuke going rogue, Sasuke finally detaching all bonds with Konoha, his friends, viewing them as weaknesses. So this was like the combination of the entire journey for the most part to get us to where we needed to go into Shippuden. So I'm gonna say in terms of story, plot, whatever, I'm gonna give it to Naruto as well. In terms of, I would say, just like miscellaneous characters or side character development, I'm going to give it to this one as well. Naruto. You get, of course, Yamcha or Kiba. He had his moment to shine. You have a moment with Shikamaru, a moment with Rock Lee, a moment with Shino. A lot of people had time to shine. You have these introduction of really cool characters. The Sound Ninja, of course, the villain side of things. Of course, you have Kimimaru and that epic battle that he had with Lee, and then the final fight was amazing between Sasuke and Naruto. And the ending was, it subverted expectations perhaps at the time. I think Naruto, the main character, is going to win, but he doesn't. So in terms of like side character growth and development, I would say Naruto is much better. And I think that I can't really judge like animation and art because it's the manga. So yeah, just in totality, I just think Naruto just did it better. If this is the end of part one for Boruto, but yeah, that's my answer.
Mm.
didn't the
Nah,
writer say this is the end of part one though?
I have no clue. If he did, then there you go.
Yeah, I thought it was like an announcement that this was in the part one. Thought it was like
Yeah, I thought
a
so too
canon
as well.
thing.
If it was recent, I've been so detached, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
It was like, when did the last chapter come out? Whenever the last chapter came out, it was like I think they started announcing it around then, or a little bit before the chapter came out. So they're announcing this would be the end of
Yeah.
part one.
Okay.
There was like a I think there's like an Abdul tweet that kind of hinted towards it. I'm not sure. I don't want to say anything for certain because I'm not 1000% sure. But I get where you're coming from in comparing the ending of part one of Naruto to the ending of part two of Boruto. In my personal opinion, I think the ending of part one of Naruto, I'd say it was more complete. I'd say story
Mm-hmm.
writing, it made a lot more sense. You could possibly assume, or you could possibly say, but I would probably say that the ending of Boruto Part One is probably a lot more entertaining. I'd put it like that. And
Yeah,
Interesting.
I
again,
agree.
this right here kind of goes along with how I kind of view Naruto Part One versus Part Two, like just the weight of of everything that's going on in this particular moment. Everybody is essentially understanding that this right here is like a very critical time, significantly more critical than Naruto versus Sasuke. Even though that right there was actually critical to both Naruto and Sasuke, but the weight of the world wasn't necessarily there. Where it's kind of here in this particular situation. Also, we kind of get the conclusion to what we kind of started Boruto on, to where we kind of now it's like kind of well we kind of already had this. It was already confirmed before this particular chapter, but wrapping up now we know that Naruto is not necessarily dead. We know that he is in another dimension, safe, sound. We know that Momoshiki isn't necessarily going to be taking over Boruto because Boruto's will is like extremely strong. Sarada got her Mangekyo Sharingan that incorporates some of the side characters to have some extremely huge power ups that's probably going to carry over significantly throughout the time skip. She's going to be able to train with that. So I just thought that entertainment wise, like as far as like, and you could probably even call it fan service. I ain't gonna lie, you might even want to call it fan service. Just the stuff that we got at the end of part one of Boruto. I'm gonna personally say I prefer that a lot more, especially because I, you guys might not necessarily think it's a big deal, bro. I have been fighting for my life this whole part one of Boruto saying Sasuke is not gonna die. And I ain't gonna lie, bro, I was proven right on the last day. If this is the end of part one, I was proven right on the last day. Sasuke and Boruto, they were riding off in the time skip together, training, possibly looking for my guy Naruto. So I liked it.
Because you were
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Yo, shout out to Ready SG for the $20 super chat. He hit us off with that starter pack $20. Really appreciate it, bro.
Good looks, ready?
So Bara, I wanted to ask you a question though. As far as like the time skip goes and how we ended it off, the flippening. Do you think? Sorry, dude was coming by on a. Nah, I was about to say it. Never mind. The flippening. Do you think that this was like a like a weak thing for Momoshiki to really think is going to break Boruto's spirit? Or you think it should have been something else?
I wouldn't necessarily consider it a week. First things first, we don't necessarily know if this is exactly what Momoshiki was planning on being the actual moment, but also this
It seems
is
like he put all
something like
his chips in his bag.
true, but even if that's the case, this right here isn't necessarily like something that Boruto can just deal with. Don't get me wrong. Well, he's going to deal with it, but don't get me wrong. For a regular guy, this isn't necessarily like some regular stuff. But I still do believe that Momoshiki should definitely have a contingency plan
Mm-hmm.
because this, I don't necessarily want to say it was a horrific plan, but I personally believe that there should definitely be a plan B to an Otsutsuki god, like we're not Otsutsuki god, but an Otsutsuki member who was classified as a quote unquote god, not necessarily Otsutsuki god. But I just think that Momoshiki is probably gonna have contingency plans. I think that eventually they're probably gonna end up being best friends, and they're probably gonna have a brand new form where Boruto now becomes like up there with the Otsutsuki god and Shibai, and now he's able to use multiple divine arts. You guys, you know the whole shabazz.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Melon.
Interesting.